Good evening, everyone. This is Kanishka Ramchandani, the editor of Professional Beauty India, and you are watching me on PB Quarren Live and Wall presents the Stylist Toolbox Cuts and Trims. Throughout this week, you have been watching us doing live sessions with demonstrations on cutting techniques and how to effectively use your cutting tools, from clippers and trimmers to scissors. Experts have been showing us how to use these tools effectively, which are the tools that should be part of your toolkit, and showing you some great amazing techniques as well. I hope आप ये सारे सेशंस अटेंड कर रहे हैं और एंजॉय कर रहे हैं और बहुत कुछ नया सीख रहे हैं। हमारा मकसद ये थीम को लेकर यही है कि आप लोग नए नए टेक्निक सीखें। आजकल एक्सपर्ट्स क्या कर रहे हैं, नए ट्रेंड्स कैसे फॉलो कर रहे हैं और कौन से टूल्स यूज़ कर रहे हैं, ये सारी बातें आप डायरेक्टली उनसे सीख सकें। इसीलिए हमने ये पूरे हफ्ते ये थीम रखा है और कई सारे एक्सपर्ट्स को डेमॉन्स्ट्रेशंस देने के लिए इनवाइट किया है। हमारा ये सेशन एक कॉन्वर्जेशन होगा एक्सपर्ट के साथ में ऑन द टॉपिक ऑफ बार्बरिंग। सो वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग ऑन द ट्रेंड्स ऑफ बार्बरिंग एंड हाउ टू become a successful barber, a professional barber, from our expert for the day, Dharmesh Hingorani, also known as Dodo. जो भी इस इंडस्ट्री से रिलेटेड है, हर कोई डोडो से वाकिफ़ है। वो बहुत ही फेमस हेयर ड्रेसर हैं, कई सारे सेलिब्रिटीज़ के साथ काम कर चुके हैं और ऑनलाइन फिल्म प्रोजेक्ट्स पर भी काम कर चुके हैं। बहुत सारे ब्रांड्स के साथ में उन्होंने अपना एसोसिएशन रखा है। यहाँ पर मैं आपको एक छोटी सी स्टोरी बताना चाहूँगी। इट्स बिन मोर देन अ डेकेड दैट आई हैव बिन इन द इंडस्ट्री एज अ ब्यूटी एडिटर, एंड along the way I have made friends with a lot of hairdressers, and they are extremely good people, and they are great at being friends with, but इन सारे हेयर ड्रेसर्स जो मेरे फ्रेंड्स हैं उनमें डोडो और एंड उसकी पार्टनर जिंग बहुत ही खास हैं, क्योंकि दीज वर द फर्स्ट हेयर ड्रेसर फ्रेंड्स दैट आई हैड इन दिस इंडस्ट्री, एंड आई एम वेरी एक्साइटेड टू हैव डोडो टुडे विथ मी on this live session, and I'm going to have a really nice long chat with him about barbering. So please stay with us, and I'm going to add Dodo to this conversation, and he's going to tell us all that we need to know about this wonderful category in hairdressing, barbering. Hi.
Hello.
Oh
How
my
are you?
God, look at you.
That's the new hair. That's the whole lockdown bored phase of life where you want to do something different and you're not scared because you're not getting out. Even if it goes wrong, nobody's seeing you. And then we have to do live.
Yes, and now everyone sees you and everyone knows what
Yay.
all experiments you have been up to. So that beard I was definitely expecting, but the hair is totally unexpected.
Thank you.
Great.
So basically that was the idea. We were sitting down and we were just thinking of what to do because I was also bored with my hair.
Okay.
But so we just sort of buzzing it off, and I'm like, I always wanted this, like, whole global kind of hair color. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the best time to try it. So
True.
also, I have not, nobody knows this is the new hair. I have not done any lives before this with this one. I have not sent a
Okay.
picture to a single friend of mine. My mother doesn't know that I have this color on my hair. So you're the first person who gets to show this to the world.
Great. You are debuting with your new color on Pro Beauty India Instagram Live.
Yes,
with
thank you so much.
Kanishka. Great.
Thank you so much, Kanishka.
Thank you so much for joining me on this session. It's lovely to have you here, and I'm looking forward to your answers to all my questions about barbering. So,
Sure.
as we all know that you have developed a really special interest in this whole barbering category. So I want to know from
Sure.
you, how did this process happen? What was the point of self-discovery where you thought that, okay, you should be looking at barbering more?
Okay, so it's a very interesting story. It's actually quite long, so we'll cut it slightly shorter.
Okay.
The idea is I was always a hairdresser before. It's not that I started my journey into this business with barbering. I was a
Right.
hairdresser for quite a while. And during those days, when we learned hairdressing, teaching barbering wasn't so much of a focus. We learned a lot of female hairdressing and a lot of long layer haircuts, short layer haircuts, and so on and so forth. But there was a point in my life when I was working with Alim at the Bandra salon.
Okay.
And we had a lot of influx of male clients. And I was obviously doing them and cutting hair around, but I saw a lot of my colleagues use clippers and, all of these little tools, which I never learned how to use. So
Okay.
I was very scared to just pick it up and try it on anybody. So I just kept looking at them and I'm like, hey, this makes so much of a difference. This looks so cool. And you can get those sharper haircuts because I couldn't do this shorter haircut because it wouldn't fit in my fingers.
Yeah.
So it was a very difficult thing to do. So the colleagues over there helped me to understand the clipper, like a little bit of just basic knowledge about like, listen, do this. These are the guards. This is what it's going to do.
Yeah.
And I started using it and I started realizing that, hey, 1 second, this is fun. For two reasons. One, with all due respect, when you cut a men's hair, it shows a great transformation immediately than the longer hair period. Like,
Yeah.
as in, you also hear that, right? When you get a basic trim, everybody's like, hey, you didn't even cut your hair. It doesn't look like you got a haircut.
Yeah.
But with guys, even like a basic trim, because it frames the face completely, it is catchy. It just shows you like, oh, something just happened there.
Right.
And for me, I joined this business also for the fact of, I want quick results. I'm not a guy who can spend 6 months, 1 year, 2 years into creating something and then see the result coming in. So for me, this profession helps me in my manner, like I start my job and in an hour, I have the result right there. So I know I've done good, I've done bad, whatever it is right there. But with barbering, if you could see it also visually, and you're like, hey, 1 second, that guy looks completely different. So it just got me interested into barbering from there. And then I started my own salon in a couple of years from there.
Yeah.
And after a few years of doing it continuously, I came to a point where I felt stagnant in my life, where I was like, I need to learn something more, but I don't know what. Like, I know how to color hair, I know how to cut hair, I know to do straightening, perming, keratin, cystine, everything possible. I know how to cut men's hair, I know how to use a clipper. So I'm trying to think about what more to learn. And I want to learn something in the industry itself. So I got a suggestion of why don't you start doing upstyling, like for session styling and do for the stages and all. And I'm a little lazy, very frankly.
Okay.
And that seems like, it looked like a lot of mehnat to do. And I'm like, I don't think I will end up doing that, you know. And then suddenly it struck me, 1 second, I don't know how to use the cutthroat razor to do a shave.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what, let's go learn that. So Zing, my partner in the salon, was like, you know what, are we going to do that service in the salon? I'm like, I don't know, but I want to learn. I just want to go and learn. If it doesn't give me back anything in my business, I'm fine, but I just want to learn something.
Okay.
So we're like, cool. And that's how I started finding some interest in barbering a lot more, because whatever happened after that is what got me so much more interested. Because after that is the next step happened where I started finding academies that would teach me how to shave.
Right.
There was
So you
none
actually
in
went to
India.
an academy and not to the Nukkad Ka Nai to learn the cutthroat razor.
So
Okay.
I'll give you a reason why too.
Yeah.
Since the time I learned professional hairdressing from the Juice Academy, then
Yeah.
I realized that I understood the idea of techniques and why should there be a technique.
Right.
And for a very long time before that, I was a kind of a guy who believed in hands-on knowledge. Like, you know something, you're good at it. Why do you need training for it? Right?
Yeah.
But when I learned hairdressing, I realized that one important reason why you need to be trained is till the time the going is good, everything is fine. But once you get a problem, how to solve the problem is you will understand if you understand the techniques better.
Absolutely.
And so I started believing in that. So when I started looking for people who was going to teach me how to use a cutthroat razor, I first started calling up academies I know who teach practically and who teach you like with techniques and all of it. None of them were teaching shaves.
Okay.
All they were teaching was men's haircut with the men's square and men's graduation. In fact, nobody was even teaching you how to do the fades and, use clippers differently. Then I contacted an old friend of mine, Praveen. He used to work with B Blunt, because he's legendary into barbering. Like, I have seen him cut hair and I don't think I've seen anybody who does barbering better than him.
Okay.
So I called him and I'm like, dude, listen, will you teach me? He's like, I would love to, but he's in the middle of so many things that he can't guarantee me that he'll give me enough time. So he thought it's not fair for me to bank on him because he doesn't have that much of time.
Right.
Then I called a friend of mine who runs a very old barber shop in the country. It's in Kemp's Corner. It's called Precious.
Okay.
So I'm like, dude, listen, how do you teach your people who come there? How do they learn how to do shaves and haircuts? He's like, nothing. They basically stand behind for 1 year and they keep looking at it and they practice and they get it. I'm like, shit, I can't do it that way. I need to know the technique. Because now I am scared of two things. One is reputation, right? If I'm doing your shave and I nick you off and they'll be like, Dodo doesn't know how to do things. While you've already been into the industry for that long, you don't want to risk that part. So I'm like, no, I can't do that. So what do we do? So one day I was just talking to a random regular friend of mine and telling him like, dude, I want to learn this here. I don't know how to go about it, because he's also very good in learning. He loves reading, loves learning. So he started doing his research and he came up with like, dude, there is nothing in India that teaches you how to shave and how to use clippers. And I'm like, okay, now what do we do? Then we are stuck. I was like, what is the closest place? He's like, I don't know about the closest place, but I found this academy in London, which looks very amazing. It's called the London School of Barbering. And I'm like,
Okay.
dude, I want to learn how to shave. I have to go to London for that. Thoda zyada ho gaya, like, you know. So anyways, I went to their website. I checked out their things. They had a lot of courses apart from shaving. They had like fade courses and clipper courses, know your tools and all of those things. So I signed up for one of their courses, and I went there and learned barbering from scratch.
Okay.
Like all the requirements of tools, the things that they were using, I had not even heard about it. Like there is something called a fade brush,
Okay.
which you use while cutting hair. So when you're using a clipper, a lot of hair gets stuck onto your scalp. You can't
Yeah.
remove it. So I'll show you the thing. It looks like this.
Okay.
It's a small little brush that you keep brushing it off. So all the hair that's stuck around your hair, it removes it. So you get your precise fade coming in. And I'm like, oh, I had not even heard about something like that. So that's where I went. I learned how to do a cutthroat razor shave. I learned fading techniques and all of those things coming with them. And that's how I got more and more interested in barbering. And I also the cultural difference. Like when you go to London and you see barbers, you realize that culturally it's very, very, very different. Like barbers over there are cool as anything. Like, so over there the culture is when we finish our training in the evening, you'll go to a bar, have a few drinks with people around, and then you go back to your thing. So on our last day of the soiree, they took us to a little nicer bar where all the community people come and hang, and it's just like a lovely bar. Over there, when you went in, you realize that out of everybody, you can spot barbers. You can't spot hairstylists. Because
Okay.
barbers were like just cool as something else. Like they had tattoos, cool clothes, suspenders, waistcoats, hair like this, beards, and they look they look out there. They look different. And I'm like, hey, 1 second. This doesn't happen in our country. Like the only way we define barbers in our country is safari suit pehna hai type,
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it is coolness. It's about artistically being different. And
True.
that's when I came back here and I wanted to promote that part. And that was the day I changed my Insta handle from Dodo to Dodo the Barber. Because I
Okay.
realized that people in our country are not proud to call themselves barbers because they feel it's a lower profession. Hairstylist is cooler.
True. Yeah. So we
And I was
have
like,
a
nahi.
great cultural thing about being a barber, which has to be dealt with.
Yes.
And like you said, if we infuse it with that cool factor, maybe people will start looking at it differently.
Yeah.
But in spite of that, even if you change that, there is still a difference between a professional barber and a traditional Indian barber, right?
True.
And the difference from how I perceive it is education. And like you said, there is nobody offering you proper barbering education. So what is your take on that? Are you planning to start barbering education here?
Well, very frankly, fingers crossed, we were going to go very big into 2020 with barber education, but with the situation that's turned around to be like this, it's kind of gotten difficult now. But
Okay.
for the past 2 years, it's been my plan to somehow work around and get barber education through. I was the educator for Depot Mail
Right.
Tools,
Yeah.
and I was the educator for them. So via them, I got the opportunity to meet people and educate them in terms with Depot and barbering and so on and so forth. So that's how I started the little bit of journey in educating people.
Right.
And then I have started, then I came up with my little 2 short courses where it's basic barbering and advanced barbering about people who've already been doing barbering for a while. We
Yeah.
do this short 2 or 4 day courses where we teach you technical ways of using the clipper. Now we all know how to use a clipper,
Yeah.
but in hairdressing, when you go to the school, you learn shapes, how to create a square, how to create a round, how to create a triangle. You can create all of those things using a clipper by simple techniques.
Okay.
So we sat down with our salon and Zing as well and created this little format where we teach you step by step haircuts to achieving fades, different fades. That it could be low fade, high fade, graduated fade, square fade, round fade, drop fade. So we have step by step processes for all those haircuts now, which was lacking before. Before we didn't have a process of step by step technical way of doing haircuts. Like now I can promise you the techniques that we've created, and obviously it's the help of London School of Barbering, and they've been great influence and a great help in all of these things.
Yeah.
Is now I can tell you, if I teach you these 4 steps of doing a fade, you cannot do your fade wrong. Like you can literally
Right.
close your eyes, create your guideline, close your eyes and just keep going over it and your fade is going to be perfect. that's how we are trying to now take it further in terms of education in barbering, because as you mentioned, the Indian culture of barbering is slightly different.
Yeah.
But that all goes to education. We were not educated for it. That was the same thing with even hairdressing previously. When we were in the beauty parlor era, there was no education on hairdressessing. Thanks to people like Odd and all, when they came in and they started teaching with their academy the technical ways of doing it, and most of us, like people like me, are either a pass out of Juice, B Blunt, or Nalini Yasmin. Like, that's how we've been grown, and these are the people who've taken us to the next level of educating us. If they wouldn't have done it, we possibly would have still been like 10 years behind and still wanting to learn. So I took this opportunity as for barbers, and I'm like, listen, let me do something for the barbering community. Like, nobody's teaching, nobody's training. So we are going to be doing that. And in fact, in Jan about, we also made a little plan of going and integrating ourselves with small barbershops. Like standalone barbershops, like how you go and, just spend about a couple of hours, show them a few tips and tricks, make them feel proud about the profession, like make them feel good about like what they are doing is not a random job. It's not like, पुराने ज़माने में बोलते थे ना, बेटा कुछ नहीं कर रहा है, उसको हजाम बना दो. You're not a barber for that. You're a barber because you love doing it. So that's the next focus in life, to go about and educate people on this.
That's excellent. So from learning by just standing behind the chair to actually going through a course is what is going to make all the difference for the new barbers. Tell me, what are services fall under the barbering category? Oh,
in short, anything and everything that a man does. Like male grooming is basically barbering. So it can go from haircuts to shaves to trim. Haircuts, trim, shaves, beard grooming, facials. Like a guy who does like a whole facial with threading and everything. Guys are doing threadings and everything nowadays. So a barber would do that too. So anything like a male grooming part is barbering.
Right. And what will a barber's toolbox look like? Like what all things should he have? What all औजार कौन से होने चाहिए उनके पास?
So there is a list of basic tools, and there is a long list of tools that we can end up creating. Right. So for me, basic tools are your scissors, comb, clips, clipper, and a trimmer and a razor. Like razor, you need to keep shaving. A trimmer, you need to keep fining lines and shorter beards and grooming them. A clipper, you need to do fades and all of those things. Scissor, comb is as basic tools. Sectioning clips to obviously section. So that makes, with these things, you can do almost everything in barbering, which is not including the terms of facials and all, because then you'll get facial tools in terms of steam machines and facial creams and all of those things coming in.
Yeah.
Then after that, when you want to get excited and add more new technological things, like I showed you the fade brush.
Yeah.
Then we obviously have the neck brush. The most interesting is the beard brush. Now this is like a beard brush.
Yeah.
Which is to groom out the beard, which we didn't even know of that can commonly existing the pack. Then companies are coming out with newer things about, so this is something doing a great round nowadays is the Velcro clipper. So basically what you do is you section your hair with a Velcro like that. You don't need to put a clip.
Ah, interesting.
So what happens is when you put clips, you keep getting those impression lines and you have to put spray water and remove it. This doesn't leave any impression or any mark, and it's super easy to end up using.
Yeah.
Then we have hair cutting razors. Those which we use majorly in barbering to create this kind of texture. So we just kind of razor it out a little so you get texture and doesn't really thin the hair out. Then you have thinning tools, thinning scissors. Then the regular blow dryers, irons, tongs, because men's styling requires all of those things.
Yeah.
So apart from everything that you need in hairdressing, two things extra that you really need is razors and clippers.
Right.
Which will complete our kit nicely.
And what about products?
Ooh, fun. Everything under the sun. So, obviously we can use the volume mousses and root boosts and all of those things with hairsprays and everything works around. But another array of great styling products for men, which is like matte paste, something that I've used on my head. It's not glossy. It's nice and matte. It's not too hard. Just gives texture. Mm-hmm. Then you got clays, which gives you that whole gunky, rock band kind of look, which looks very messy and looks like gunky in it. Then you have gels, obviously, which is glossy, shiny. Then you have pomades, which became really famous in the last couple of years with the pompadour look, where you wanted a sleek styles, but it doesn't look wet like a gel, but it has all the gloss and everything, so that the pomades work into it. Right. So these are the basic genre of products, but then you can have different categories in waxes, different categories in pomades, different categories in gels, and create a vaster range which defines in all different hair types. But basic would be these. Like I would say, somebody who has very fine hair, don't use a gel because it just makes your hair look even more finer. Use a little clay or a little matte product, so on and so forth. And great brands to work around with those. Like for me, one of the most extensive brand is American Crew. They have one of the largest range of men's hair products, and being one of the oldest companies we can think of who thought of getting only male grooming products coming in. So
Is
they
it
are amazing.
available in India?
Yes, they will. I mean, I don't know existingly now what's the situation. Till last year, whenever I was doing my trainings and all of those things, American Crew was pretty much available. We also have Depot. Depot has been a fantastic brand. I personally worked with them, so I know all the nitty-gritties and amazing things of the products. The products are fabulous. Okay. Then there are Indian brands that have come up, like the Man Company, the Shaving Company, Beardo, and all of those things, which are very, very good products into the region that they are catering to. Like, I would never compare a Depot to a Beardo because the range is very different. It's a 200 rupee oil to a 1800 rupee oil. So for me to compare that with that is not going to be fair enough ever.
Yeah.
But to our country to have the need for the masses to get that, it's an amazing thing. Like, because of Beardo, a lot of people have started using beard products, which we're not even using. Like, I used to get a lot of people saying, "Arey kya, I put coconut oil only. I put my shampoo only on my beard. Why do I need a beard shampoo?" You know, all of those things. So because of those brands coming in, it's worked much better in the terms of the industry evolving much more nicely.
Right. And do you think there is also more awareness about taking care of your beard?
Well, I wouldn't say just the beard. I would say, if you've noticed in the last 5 odd years, men have been taking care of them overall in general.
Yeah.
Like, we've gotten a lot more conscious about how we look. We want to be groomed. We want to be taken care of. So because of that coming in, it flows around in that manner. It's not only about beard. Like, even now there are people who shave and they're very particular about how they shave. Mm-hmm. But we've gotten more concentrating on taking care of it. Like, we make sure the hairstyle is proper. We are using products now. Because the beard trend is coming and people want it, you need to like groom it so that it looks professional enough at work. Like, I can get away with this beard, but like my corporate client wouldn't be able to get away with this beard when he's going into a meeting for like a 100 crore meeting. Like, so for them it needs to be smaller, but it needs to be groomed. So that's how the grooming culture. But I feel grooming overall in men, like not even grooming, clothes. Like in the last 5-8 years, we've seen men's brands coming into the country.
Yeah.
And you see men shopping a lot more, men's visiting salons a lot more. Like, say probably 10 years back, you had men going only to barber shop. Yeah. But now men are even going to salons. And the last 4 years of the whole fade boom, you see salons also have now integrated barbering into the space.
True.
Like, I know so many salons who hired barbers from other places and trained them and worked around with them and so on and so forth. So that's a pretty nice thing to see. So I feel the whole genre of men's perspective is going out a lot more, and men are now more concerned about looking good than what they were a few years back. So I think the entire industry is going to benefit out of that.
Great. What about products for your beard? Can you use the same ones that you're using on your hair?
Well, not really. For example, the shampoo. A beard shampoo, I always say, is a very specific thing for the beard, not for the hair part. It's for the skin. It's like, but people say like, but shampoo hai, this is also hair, this is also hair. How does the shampoo know which is which hair? Absolutely agreed. But the skin under the scalp is very different than the skin on your face. That's why you never use your hair shampoo as a face wash, right? You always use a different face wash because your face is a lot more delicate.
Yeah.
Gentle. So beard shampoos are a lot more gentle on the skin. They are taking care of your skin. They are not only taking care of your hair because there is still skin underneath the hair. Yeah. If you don't take care of it, you'll have dryness. You start getting dandruff on your face as well. You start getting itchies. You start getting boils. So you need to take care of your face too. So a beard shampoo, a beard product becomes a lot more important in that manner, apart from anything else. Then we have beard oils. That generally is little again specific, is because it needs to get onto the beard but not make it greasy.
Yeah.
Right. So you cannot use any random oil coming onto it. Also, beard hair is a lot more coarser than the hair. So say for example, a lot of people say, why can't I use my Moroccan oil on my beard? You can, depending on your beard.
Yeah.
Because this beard is so much more coarser than the hair, the oil needs to be a lot more controlling in this manner for the beard. Second, the beard oil, what I learned with Depot, this was very interesting, that they created a beard oil which is a pre-shave and a beard oil. So what that means is that oil is good for your skin as well. We are not moisturizing our skin, we are only cleaning it.
Yeah.
If you keep cleaning it, it's going to dry it at some point. So this oil works much better in that way. Like what I do is every day when I use it, I go under and put it on my skin first. I massage it all over my skin, so my skin is also hydrated, and then I put it on. any other oil is not that great for your skin. If you start putting it on your skin too much, your skin will start getting oily, greasy, and all the dust particles and all will go inside and stick to your face instead of sticking onto the beard.
Right.
So when you're washing it again, then a little problem. So those are the reasons why some beard products are different than hair products.
Yeah.
But there are ranges of them. You have a beard shampoo, you have a beard conditioner, beard oil, beard wax, a mustache wax, beard butter, and then there are different names for beard butter in terms of beard smoother and all of those things, but they all fall into a similar category of a smoothing agent for the beard.
Okay.
So these are 4-5 basic products that beard is going crazy with. The mustache wax, the beard shampoo, and the beard oil are the 3 most popular products in the range of beard.
Right. Why do you need 2 different products for the mustache and the beard?
The mustache wax. Now there is a mustache wax and a beard butter. The wax is very hard. So it's majorly used for you to separate the mustache away from your lips so that when you're eating and everything it doesn't bother. And also for the twirl up mustaches. So they are hard products.
Okay.
So if you put them on the beard, then the beard will feel very stiff and hard. So that's why the little difference on it. They have actual hold onto it, but the butters and the creams don't have hold. They just have smoothing parts into it.
Okay. Right. Thanks for that quick masterclass on beard products.
Okay.
Tell me something. You mentioned that salons have added barbering into their services. So is it lucrative enough for them to have like a designated area for barbering or designated chairs for barbering?
So I always say this in 2 ways. One is the way you look at it.
Okay.
It's your vision for your salon. Like for example, if I have never put that as a vision into my salon, then I rather not add into it because it's not going to fit with my entire thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is your mindset. I have come across a lot of people, especially in India, where when you talk about barbering, they look down upon it.
Yeah.
Like I've met in a couple of my trainings where I was training, I had a couple of people telling me like, listen, we've told our barbers, like when we've told our hairstylists not to use clippers. We've untrained them from using clippers to using scissor and comb because apparently clipper cuts say the hair doesn't grow out better.
Okay.
So they don't want to introduce that into the fact. And I'm like, that is coming from not having the knowledge.
Yeah.
Like I am very open till that for today. I mean, we are live on a big platform. I'm open to taking a challenge where you do a haircut with a scissor and I'll do a haircut with the same haircut with a clipper and you will not find any difference when they're growing out. It's just the knowledge of doing it.
Yeah.
So for me, that was also a challenge. I took that as a challenge and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to teach you how to make it better because there is nothing wrong with the tool because Bal as a big company has been making these tools for 100 years.
Yeah.
There is a reason behind it. There is a full R&D team sitting behind to make the tools as best as possible. So from the handheld clippers of using this, now we have proper electronic meters with motors and all of those things and they're newly inventing and making new things every day. Like their latest range of clippers is absolutely stunning. Like the finesse of it in smooth cutting is because of the motor being a little more heavier.
Yeah.
It just changes the whole idea. And then the blade structure, like from curving it too much to making it a little more flatter to get a smoother fade and all of those things. It's important. So you cannot say that, oh, they are bad things and they will not get me a better haircut. So that kind of thing comes into it. So you have to be open in terms of mindset with it. Once you're open with it, then it works in terms of monetary. Why? Is because, let's be very honest. A guy goes for a haircut every 20 days to 30 days. A woman goes for a haircut every 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
So while you will get a haircut say about 3 times a year, I will get a haircut minimum 12 times a year.
True.
So, and today we know, especially when we look at salon point of view, it's not too much of a difference. So if I'm charging, say for example, like for me, I charge the same price for a female haircut and a male haircut in my salon.
Yeah.
Every other person, because I specialize in male, so I tend to charge a little extra for male. But on the other hand, everybody else has like a 200 or a 300 rupee difference in terms of a male haircut and a female haircut. It's not a massive difference.
Yeah.
So even if I catch 1,000 rupees, a guy will give me 12,000 rupees at the end of the year, and a girl will give me, say even if you charge 1,500 rupees for you for a haircut, and even if you commit 3 times, I'm still making 4,500 rupees on that. So just point of haircut, it is more important. Then comes off terms of services. Now guys are also coloring their hair. It's not only women color their hair anymore. You see a lot of guys with funky colors with blues, greens and all of those things nowadays. And a lot of other colors, plus root touch-ups. Even guys come in as frequently or probably a little more frequently than women for root touch-ups because the hair is shorter, it's easily visible.
Yeah.
And as I said, men have become a little more vain about our look, so now we don't want even that one grey hair to come in. I have a list of clients who come in every 15 days for a haircut and a color because they don't want people to know that this is not what their hair looks like. So monetary, it is great money. Plus, with new techniques and cooler things to do, you save a lot of time doing men's haircut. Like I don't have to blow dry the hair.
Yeah.
You know, in a female service, a blow dry takes a lot more time as well. So I'm cut down on my time. So where I could do one female haircut, I could possibly do, if not two male haircuts, a 1.5 male haircut.
Yeah.
So I have a quicker turnover on doing a male haircut coming in that manner possible. Also, as I said, they're doing colors. They're also now gotten into beard grooming. Beard grooming is quite expensive, huh? It's not like, beard grooming is more expensive than a shave.
I know.
Oh, yes, obviously. That we can talk about all day long. But also the likes of Truefitt and Hill coming in proves it to you that there is money in the industry.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would the oldest barbershop in the world come in putting their money and their expertise into India?
Right.
So it is a change about to happen where I personally feel in little longer time you'll see standalone cooler barbershops. Like how we have cool salons.
Yeah.
You'll have cooler barbershops. In fact, there is one I know about in Goa. I haven't been lucky enough to go there and see that. It's called the Chop Shop.
Okay.
It is a very cool barbershop. They have like a vintage bike parked into it. It looks like a boys' zone to be in, like all wooden interiors and all of those things. It looks like, whenever I look at it and I'm like, you know what, I would want to go get a haircut there.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends in the past couple of years have moved to Goa. And all of them have gone and tried a haircut there. All the guys. Because they're like, dude, it looks attractive. Like, we want to go to a place that looks meant for boys. Like, why not?
Right.
And so from that point of view, I think business-wise, yes, it will take a little time because no one's done it right yet. So you want to have the first few people to take that courage and take that step on and start a cool barbershop, and the suit will definitely follow. And from my point of view, yes, I will be one of those guys who is trying to set this up and make this into like a very cool profession.
Fantastic. You seem to have done a lot of research into this, and as they say, you know what you're talking about when it comes to barbering. So concretely, how can one put this plan into action if they want to convert a section of their salon into a barber zone? How can we do that?
So it's a great plan. Like I have never really looked into that too much. It's because we come from Bombay, and you know, the space is the biggest issue.
Yes.
But when I started training and I started going to the likes of Delhi and Bangalore and Gurgaon and all of those places, I realized that they have so much more opportunity because the spaces are so big. Even if you section a place out for men, it can work out. So for example, if you have anywhere close to around, say even a 200 square feet space free in your salon, where you could put one backwash, two haircutting station, men's haircutting station, one little pedicure station, and just give that little vibe to the place where whatever your idea is, you want to have a cool vibe, you want to have a contemporary vibe, you want to have a modern vibe, whatever it is, have a little TV, play some sports onto it, get the branding and all everything around with like, you know, beards and cool haircuts and all of those things coming in. So when a guy comes in for purely a barber service, you take him in there rather than making him sit around a lot of people. Because this is one thing that I've heard from a lot of guys, that they feel embarrassed to get their grays covered in front of women.
Right.
Right, because their idea is women not to see that they have grays. Now, if they're sitting in front of women, then it kind of kills it up for them. So, a lot of guys nowadays have been doing transplants and all of those things. So, they also feel embarrassed when they're sitting in front of women to discuss their transplant issues. So, it kind of gives them a little safer place to go inside and sit somewhere where they can be openly talking about whatever they feel like talking about. So, that can give you like a little safe haven where you feel like, and you'll end up doing more services obviously for that. So, this is how you could integrate a salon space into a barber space into your salon. Coming up to be Bombay thingy where you have lesser space, I could say like find a little corner in your salon, which could be your last chair. Get a little barber chair and put a barber chair there. Put all your male products. Remove as much as female products out of there. And when I say female products, I don't mean mousses and all of those. We use them, but you know, when you have like pink bottles and golden bottles and all of those things, men don't relate with those things. Like for us, things are like black, white, brown. So if you keep those kind of things around, it kind of feels a little more manlier space about it. So if you just create that little space, you just put yourself into a comfort zone with it. And slowly you can open up to the fact of doing added on barbering. But more importantly for me is when you add these things and you hire barbers, you need to train them into the modern way of barbering. Because for that, for example, I always have this feel of it should be fair to the client. Right? So tomorrow, if I was a guy who was going to a barber shop for a haircut, And that guy was charging me 200, 150, 200, whatever for a haircut, and I was happy with his haircut there. Suddenly, next month I realized, oh shit, my barber's not working there, but I need to find him. I contact him and he's like, sir, now I've started working in this salon. Why don't you come here? I'm like, cool, I'll go there. And now suddenly if I have to pay 1,000 rupees for his haircut, and if I get the same thing, like there is nothing changed, his way of talking, his way of explaining, using better products, and or giving something slightly different to me and saying like, sir, this is what we've done and this will make it better. I'll be like, I was happy paying you for the same haircut 150 there, right? Like, why am I paying you 3 times more just because you're working in a salon? It is a fair question that we've been asked. Like, when we started doing hairdressing, we were always asked, like, hey, listen, as a guy, I'm coming here, why shouldn't I go to a barber? Like, why should I pay you extra? I had to give him a reason. So similarly here, you have to be able to tell the guy, like, listen, this is why I am better. So you need to start training them a little more. Because if they're going to exactly behave how they were behaving there, then your client will be like, boss, I'd rather go to some other guy in the same barber shop who will possibly give me the same haircut, because you're saving a lot of money. So training becomes a very, very, very important thing. I'm a very strong believer of training. Although I believe it's a form of art and you can be naturally talented to it and gifted towards it, that you can pick up a haircut and do it by just looking at somebody, which is absolutely fine. But when you're growing up and you're taking that next step ahead, you have to justify every single thing to your client, like especially in price factors. And tomorrow when we come out of Corona, because it's going to be like everybody's lost some sort of money anywhere and everywhere. Anyways, people have planned, possibly will go like, listen, instead of going to the senior most stylist in the salon, I possibly go to a junior stylist. Now that junior stylist also should be able to explain, like should be able to give you the worth, and that will only happen through training. So I'm very happy where platforms like you, there are Savios doing it, Alim's doing it, Beauty Palace is doing it. A lot of people are doing these little places where we are coming out and educating. Like when we are sitting free, let's educate people. Like let's let all part of communities know that, listen, we can do this, we can get trained, we can get better at what we are rather than just being sticking to it. Because when we come back also, our salon costs are going to go up. So we need to start charging people more, even if it's a barber shop. You'll have to start using gloves, you'll have to start using masks, you'll have to start giving clients a glove and mask, you'll have to start using disposable capes, disposable towels. So your cost is going to increase. So you'll have to charge your client more. So you have to justify, like the client also needs to feel like I got something extra, not just because Corona hai to maine extra paisa diya. Like give your client that little extra service in the service industry, right? So give them little extra by like, listen, I also got trained at this, I got something better, so I'll give you that as well. So for me, training becomes very, very important in these matters.
And it's an all-round training that you need, not just in your techniques and your style of doing the haircut or beard grooming, but also your soft skills, the way you handle your client, the way you talk to them. All those should be taken care of. That's a very valid point there, Dodo. Just now you mentioned a barbering chair. Can you elaborate on that? What exactly is that?
Oh, I wish I could show you one. It's those old school barber chairs. When you go into, so basically the difference between a salon chair and a barber chair is a barber chair comes with a headrest and it reclines back. So when you're doing a shave, basically you recline the chair back, remove the headrest a little so the client is comfortable, and you also are comfortably at that position where you can perform a shave service. So that's technically a barber chair. But now, oh my God, I can't tell you the amount of cool barber chairs that are there. Like drop by at the salon, I just recently picked up one, and every client like who's come in and they've sat on it and they're like, dude, it feels like I'm sitting in a Cadillac and getting a haircut. In fact, funnily, this is the most amazing thing I've gotten, and it's a great feedback for all salons. Every woman who's walked in the salon has complained why she can't sit on that chair and get a haircut. Why is there a discrimination now between boys? Why are they getting special chair and why we don't have a special chair? So, it's something that I always tell people, like, women enjoy these things. Like, it's not like a girl is going to be feeling like, oh, I don't want to go to a place where they're doing a male service. They also get intrigued about, like, anything that looks cool. And like, I always believe women have a better eye in picking out the cooler looking thing. Like, you'll spot that before I can spot that. I mean, there are scientific studies about how men see wider things and women see specular things. I don't know how much of that is true, but I have noticed that with a lot of times. In fact, even when we started stocking Depot in our salon, what I did was I kept it away from all the regular female grooming products and all of those things. I didn't want it to get mixed up and mingled up. And if you've seen the look of Depot products, it is very cool looking. It's a very contemporary, old school looking bottles and the theme of it. I can't tell you how many women have walked up and said like, hey, what brand is that? It looks very cool. And I'm like, oh, it's a male grooming brand and all. And they're like, hey, what is this? Why are you being sexist? Why can't we use it? I'm like, no, you can use it. It's not that you can't use it, but the identity of the brand is a male grooming brand. And trust me, a lot of females started picking those products. And they use it. They've used the Depot shampoos. They use Depot conditioners. They're like, hey, I like the smell. Like, the idea is we've changed the fragrance a little because men like a little different fragrance. The packaging, obviously, I don't want a pink shampoo bottle in my bathroom when I open it up.
Yeah.
And we made the products a little milder because men shampoo their hair a lot more frequently than females shampoo. Like, you shampoo it every alternate day. We will possibly shampoo it twice a day.
Yeah.
So we've just made those changes. It's not the product is like a female uses it and something wrong is going to happen. The only problem happens sometimes that you might not find it as effective as the other shampoo you were using it.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you, like, I have celebrity clients who come and take those products. They're like, listen, give it to me, I will use it. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, there is nothing which is for men or for women. So it works a lot in the terms of that. And yeah, coming back to the barber chair, next time when you're in Bandra, drop by, I'll make you sit on it. You will feel the difference. It's so cool.
I am absolutely going to do that. And now, speaking of women, what do you think of female barbers?
Dude, I am dying to India to have more female barbers. I have been trying to promote that for at least 1 year now. This year I wanted to do something on Women's Day, but it just didn't work out. But I was planning to do a little training just for women. Whoever is interested in barbering, just do a 1 day small introduction and the basic thing for them so that they feel confident in doing it a lot more.
Yeah.
And okay, honest thing that I'm going to tell you. It happened to me in London. When all these times that I was talking about they look cool, I was just impressed with the women, not as much as the men. Kanishka, I cannot tell you, the female barbers, the barber women around the world are stunningly hot. And you look at them and you're like, hey, listen, there is something missing in me, I feel. And also what it does is it shows that they are confident about themselves. See, that is what I'm again going for. Like, when you are something and you love doing something, you portray it out from yourself. Yeah. And when you see them, you don't see them being ashamed of what they are, or they're cutting only men's hair or whatever, or they're proud to do only men's hair and everything. And you can see it in them. And there are a couple of these handles that I follow, and I see them, their work is great. And when they come across, they look like personalities. Like, you want them to be like cutting your hair. A client feedback. One of my clients came to me for a haircut after a vacation. He was vacationing in Australia. And he said, like, dude, I purposely came after a longer time of my haircut because I did something, I cheated on you. And I'm like, okay, that sounds wrong in all terms of manner, but what did you do? He's like, so basically I was in Sydney, and I'm like, and you got a haircut there. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, it's fine, bro. In fact, I like my clients going abroad and getting haircuts is because sometimes those guys don't know you.
Yeah.
They do something very different because I already know you. I have put my presumption that teko ye acha nahi lagega type because I know you.
Yeah.
That guy doesn't know you. He's constantly just going on how you look, how you walked in, how you presented yourself. He's going to give you a haircut according to that.
Yeah.
He's like, it wasn't even that. I'm like, what? He was like, I was passing by in the evening in the market and there was a barber shop. I'm like, okay. He's like, the USP of that barber shop is all the females were cutting hair in bikinis. And I just looked at him and I'm like, you know what? I don't blame you at that. Like, let's be honest. Men like that. I'm like, now you're telling me that I'm also thinking when I'm going to go to Sydney and try that haircut there. And it has nothing to do with anything but about, it looks cool. Like, one of the first barber shops started in America was called We Do Men. Okay. And it was started by a female and she ran the place like a dominatrix. Like, she would be like full leather jacket, leather pants, whips and everything. The whole idea was like, dude, we are going to command over men and we only do men. We'll only cut men. And it was a very sexually charged energy, but nothing in a wrong manner. It was all about getting your creativity out there and, you know, exposing yourself in the way you are. Yeah. And it just makes a lot of sense. It gets men to do that. And I've been also telling people it's a very, very natural thing. Like, for example, when a woman comes to me for a haircut, I compliment her in a different way than another woman if she goes to a female stylist to get a haircut. Similarly, for a guy, when he comes to a guy, he gets a different kind of vibe and a different kind of compliment and a different kind of feel than when he goes to a girl. Like, when a girl tells him, compliments him, like when you walk, like, and I'm doing a guy's hair, for example, and I say, dude, this is going to look really hot, it's going to work really well. he won't believe it as much as a female barber tells him like, dude, listen, trust me, this is going to look really hot. He'll be like, ladki bol rahi hai, because that's what I'm aiming for, right? I'm aiming to impress the opposite sex. So if the opposite sex is giving me that confidence, I feel much better about it. So I always tell people, like, when guys who come to me for haircuts, they come for comfort. They want to know, like, true men's point of view, like, listen, मैं इसको कैसा maintain करेगा every day? You will be able to tell me better. Like, when they come to me for their beard thing, they're like, listen, you have the beard, you can groom it, you can tell me better. Similarly, when females come to me for haircuts and I'm doing their styling and they're like, hey, listen, how do I do this at home? Then I have to ask one of my female stylists in the salon to tell them, because I don't know how to tackle your long hair yourself, right? I've never held the hair here or tongued it myself. So I would be a wrong person to tell you how to do it at home. But a female will be able to tell you easily, like, Kanishka, chal, I want to tongue my hair. Okay, listen, you can take sections like this section and you quickly tongue your hair. I will not be able to tell you because I've never done it. But I can tell you how to groom your beard. So, you know, in those matters, both the sexes matter. But I would really love to see a lot of women come out, because I've seen a lot of women really great with barbering. And they're very interested in doing it.
Yes, they are.
But not enough exposure again, so that kind of gets a little stuck up to the point. There's not enough exposure.
I honestly feel that you can fill this gap by starting your courses for barbering, and I'm sure even female hairdressers who want to get into barbering will be able to learn so much from you.
Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. So 2020 ka to pata nahi, hope 21 rolls this out for you. What advice would you like to give to aspiring barbers?
Well, there are two advices I want to give you. One is what we are doing right now, what we are facing through right now, because it's a very difficult time, because most of the barbers are not the most profit-making industry, because their margins are very less and so on and so forth. They work on daily clientele, so they're not making enough money right now. So it's a tough time to survive and go through with it. There is nothing we can do about it. So I would just tell them, everybody, to be positive right now. Stick to your guns. There's nothing wrong that we are doing. There's nothing we can do about it. Don't risk your life. Don't close your shutters and don't try sneaking in people. Don't try to do home visits, because we are risking our lives by doing that, because there is no concrete spot for it as of now. There is nothing, no safety standard. Like, I cannot go to somebody's house and be sure that everything is sanitized well enough. And it's not fair for my client, because I could be spreading infection. If I'm going to 10 people's houses on a daily basis, then I could have caught anything anywhere. So don't get into these things. I know money is a tough point. We'll work this out. We will get up in the future and make all the money back. Don't risk your life. Don't risk your profession. Don't risk health for anybody. So don't do that as of now. And in the future, my request to barbers and my request to clients all over, whoever is watching it, would be, please bear with us for the next few months. We will have to increase the cost of our services. Don't feel angry at your barber shop for increasing 100 rupees, because they are doing that for your safety and our safety. It is a time where everybody will have to go through it. So support us. Support your local, like, you know, be local, be vocal for local. Like, support your people. Give them the required your support you can possibly give. As barbers, when we come out in the future, latest trends and technology is not our first concern when we start our jobs back. The first concern is going to be taking care, being precautious. Don't overflood your salons. Take the first few weeks to understand how are we going to adjust to the new norms. Like, we were planning, like, we normally take an hour haircut appointment. We are going to now start possibly doing an hour and a half, because we will have to have that much of time of sanitizing here and there. I'm going to give 5-10 minutes of clients running late and everything. So in case you run late, I don't want the other client to stand outside. Hopefully we start next month and it's going to be raining. It's not going to be fair for anybody. So we are trying to, you know, adjust that. We might do 2-3 clients less in a day, but we will still make sure that everybody is safe and going out with as safety norms as possible. So pay more attention to those things. Pay more attention to hygiene in the salon. That is going to really help. Pay more attention to clients' need and make the client feel safer to come in, because a lot of clients are going to think twice before entering barber shops and other things also, because they're like, listen, it's a very close proximity business, right? We're going to touch you every day. So what do we do with it? So build confidence in them. Make them feel like, listen, we are there to take care of you. Start up your social media promotions about saying, like, listen, this is the profession, what we are doing. There are great communities and great forums in India that are helping you get certified for hygiene certificates. Like, yesterday was the day where all our entire salon gave those exams and got certified for hygiene. You can put that up into your portfolios so that, you know, your clients know that you're certified hygienically. We've done an Indian course as well, because we want to be obviously satisfying the Indian government and followers. We're also doing international courses, because we also want to see what different are those guys doing. What if
Yeah.
we can learn something from them in terms of hygiene? So we're
Yeah.
trying to do all of those things right now. So focus on those things. Get onto these sites and get your certifications done, and understand what kind of hygiene we need to prepare, and be slow. Slow and steady will win the race. We will make money. We are alive. We have our life. We will make the money. When we started our business, we started from zero. So even if we've gone back to zero now, we'll make it back again. Just believe in yourself. Don't give up. Don't try to rush into anything. Be safe. वो बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में, जान है तो जहान है.
Absolutely, I totally agree
that's
with you.
the next concern.
Safety is your first priority. Your safety, your staff safety, and the safety of your customers has to be top priority. और पैसा तो बन ही जाएगा eventually.
बन ही
वो कहीं नहीं
जाएगा.
जाने वाला. अच्छा, now very quickly before we wind up this session, tell us what you do to maintain your beard, which I think requires a lot of maintaining.
Well, very frankly, on the contrary, I'm very lazy with my beard.
Okay.
I'll tell you two reasons. One is I'm a lazy person overall. Like,
Okay.
I don't like taking too much of time to get ready. I don't like taking too much of time to groom or any of those things. The only thing in my life that I like giving too much of time to is shopping. Like, I can
Wow.
spend as much as time in life you want for shopping. Like, I am on for it. You want to go shopping, you don't have company, call me, I'll come with you.
You're
Like, I love
every girl's
shopping.
dream, Dodo.
And possibly, no, this is the problem. Possibly I shop more than you.
Okay.
So I have had incidents. I've gone out shopping with my girlfriends and all of those things, and when we come back and they see me and they're like, dude, you're giving me competition in shopping. Why do you have more bags in your hand than I have? So that's the only thing that goes into that segment. But like today, I have taken the effort to groom because I'm coming on the beauty platform. I need to look
Yes.
groomed and everything.
Yes.
So there's a very small regime to it.
Okay.
Three things that go into it. One is the beard shampoo. I'll always shampoo the beard. And whenever you're
Which
shampooing
shampoo
the
is
beard,
this?
don't
Can
be
you
too...
tell us the brand name or the product name?
I use Depo.
Okay.
Depo shampoo, Depo beard shampoo. It's called 501.
Okay.
And on this part, I'll say not being biased or just because I've worked with them for in a longer term or whatsoever. The beard shampoo is one of the reasons that I worked with them after my training, because that was the best beard shampoo I've ever used
Yeah.
in my life. I've had this beard for 7 years now, and I've only been using Depo for 3. So the first 4 years, I have tried all the possible products from everywhere in the world. I've ordered from America, UK, Europe, everything. But once I used that, it made a lot of difference. So that's one of the best beard shampoos you could come across with.
Yes.
Then as soon as I come out after the shampoo, I don't tend to put a cream or something heavy on my beard because I don't want it to be weighed down, because it's anyways very heavy.
Yeah.
So I use the Depo beard oil again because it's good for my skin as well.
Right.
So I run up with that. I've also used different beard oils. There's one with L'Oreal also, which is a
Okay.
great sandalwoody smelling thing, which is actually quite nice.
Yeah.
Then there was another one. So that was an international one. There was this beard called Beard Envy from UK. They were also nice.
Okay.
But now I'm seeing a lot of companies coming up with beard oils, and so I want to now try as much as beard oils possible. There was another organic company called Raw.
Okay.
They do beard products. They also have a really nice beard oil. Huh?
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like about it, the fragrance, it was a little too spicy. But they have different fragrances also. I just didn't end up going and trying all of them. So
Yeah.
that, and then groom the beard with a good beard grooming brush. Now,
Right.
this is different from different people on different lengths. I have a bigger beard. That's why I showed you the big brush that I have. That's that bigger brush.
Yeah.
It's very coarse bristles actually. It's very bristles very close to each other. So it grooms the beard nicely and keeps it in shape. It doesn't make it go frizzy.
Right.
So these are the three things I use every: shampoo, oil, and groom it with the beard grooming. And you can survive with those things. But
Right.
when you have a shorter beard, it changes a little.
Yeah.
So sometimes people need a mustache wax because they want to keep the mustache away and slightly up. When you have the beard which is just around your face and slightly off with your face, you'll need a beard cream or a beard butter to make it look smooth. Otherwise, you keep finding those little flyaways. See, when it gets
Yeah.
this messy, you don't bother with these little flyaways.
Yeah.
But when you have the shorter beard, those little pokey hair stands kind of starts bothering you. So to push them down, you need a little beard butter or a beard cream or a beard balm that kind of puts it down. So
Yeah.
but a beard wash, beard controlling product, and a groom. That's about it. Also, people who have longer beard, one tip I need to give you all, which I also learned very late in my life. When you're grooming a beard, you need to separate the beard out because there is beard underneath as well. So when we
Okay.
brush it like this, we're only brushing the outside, not the inside. So the inside doesn't get groomed. It's something
Yeah.
that I even tell women when we are brushing your long hair, when you're combing it at the back, your nape area doesn't get brushed is because the hair goes from over the top of it. So you have to specifically pay attention to the underneath part of it. So just section your beard away. If you have this long and thick a beard, section it away, and then first groom this bit, and then you put it up and groom the rest of the beard thing. That's the most easy thing to do. People are stressing too much about maintaining beard. It is no stress. Just be comfortable and remember, every beard looks a little messy. The only beard that doesn't look messy is the beard that is on Google. That's it.
Right.
Because,
Dodo, there is a question from Zing which I would like to take up. She wants to know what matters more, looking the part as a barber or the technique and skill.
well, I would personally say both, because that sometimes something happens in every industry across the world.
Right.
Like before you know that I can cut your hair, you need to look at me and feel like, अच्छा ये कर सकता है क्या नहीं कर सकता है.
Yeah.
Saying that, the other part is, if you're good at your job, you can look however you want to. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I keep giving examples of, like, people go like, hey, listen, I cannot have a funky hairstyle when I'm going to my corporate work. Like, I can't have a zero fade. Or I can't wear like casuals, I have to be formally dressed. And I'm like, Mark Zuckerberg never formally dressed. Like, let's go back to him and say before he started Facebook, he was still like that.
Yeah.
But because he is great and has great ideas and a vision, today he is where he is. And you can see every big person, like even when you see like somebody like a Ratan Tata, he's not always like prim, proper, crisply dressed. He's smartly dressed, but he is a legend. As soon as he opens his mouth, you're like, you know what, doesn't matter what he's wearing, I want to listen to this guy.
Yeah.
So, if you're absolutely amazing at what you do, you don't need to look the part in no matter what the profession is.
Right.
But you need to be good at your job. You can look as cool a barber and you're not giving good haircuts, that is not going to be a solution. So I would pick, between the two, I would pick doing your job better than looking the part, know your job better, and once you do one haircut, two haircuts, people will see it and they will want it from you. There is no change in that.
Right. So on that very positive note, we'll bring this session to an end. Dodo, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you. You have this vibe about you which gives out positivity and builds confidence in the person who's listening to you. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be motivated, inspired after listening to you, and not only about barbering but about running their salon business per se. And all the best to all of you guys in post-lockdown period, and I hope your salon is back on its feet and running real soon.
Thank you, Kanishka. I also need to thank you guys for giving this platform for me to come and voice out and talk about these things. Also, something that I've never even mentioned it to you or anybody else for that matter is that people don't really know. You played a very big part in my career from the time we know each other, and that has been, say, a good 10 to 13 years, I remember.
Yeah, more than 10 years.
You've always been there guiding me. Even when we started, you helped us putting it up in the magazine that you were working with then. You showed us the path. You gave us a lot of help and support in those manners. There are a lot of other things that I've done where you've recommended me to people, and I've gotten some great things coming from there in my life. So I personally owe a lot of things, a lot of gratitude to you as well. So thank you so much for being a part of my life, and we'll always be there.
Thank you so much, and the pleasure is all mine. This friendship will continue for years to come, and I'm looking forward to meeting you soon.
Thank you. See you soon.
See you. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.